When I was 13, I was in a skating rink and I was with a friend. Eventually, my friend had to go home and I was left alone with a young man that I didn't know. He asked me if I was willing to do certain things, and then he started groping me and I started saying, no, I don't want that. And he didn't listen. I was sexually assaulted. Going home that night, I didn't talk to anybody, and I went out into the pool and I floated on the top of the pool, and I think I tried to wash my body. My 14th birthday happened 2 days after. That was just a total blur for me. My family didn't really know how to handle what had happened. I would cry in my bed at night and I would ask God to help me, and I never heard back from him. And then I decided that God couldn't be real. It didn't make sense. For a very long time, I didn't understand that the sexual assault wasn't my fault. I felt like I put myself in a position to have that happen. And I suppose I perceived myself as dirty and weak. I felt like I no longer had anything to save or to give to anybody. I started, self-harming more and making attempts on my life. I didn't understand why life would be worth living when such things can happen to you. I began hanging out with older men. A lot of men that I didn't understand at the time were actually predators. Those men introduced me to drugs. I started using cocaine at 14. By the time I was 18, I was addicted to meth, living on a drug dealer's couch at the time. When I was 19, I was seeing an older man. I found out that I was pregnant. And there was a part of me, kind of sad, that was excited. I thought that, this man and I could have a family together. That man decided that he didn't want to be a part of my life or, the baby's life. And he kind of gave me a thumbs up and said, good luck, and left it at that. They say that addicts view life through a very black and white lens. And so when this image that I had in my head of having my little family fell apart, I just couldn't imagine it any other way outside of getting an abortion. My views were very heavily impacted by the sexual assault. I took my pro-choice views very, very seriously. It was just so absurd to me, having gone through all that I went through. Not just these individual men, but the government was trying to take away my bodily autonomy. It was just an incredible slap in the face. That's how it felt. A surgical abortion was never really an option for me. In my mind, it would have felt like being sexually assaulted again. I didn't want to be touched in those areas in a way that I didn't have complete control over, and I didn't feel like I had complete control over this situation at all. When I thought of taking the abortion pill, it didn't feel invasive. For some reason, it felt like I still had control, but I was very ignorant. Despite being adamantly pro-choice, I was very ignorant as to what any kind of abortion really entailed, because I know it's very painful, and there's a lot of bleeding, and those are both things that I would have had no control over, so I don't think I really knew what I was getting myself into, even with the pills. But it felt like so much less of a deal, like I'm popping a couple Tylenol and the baby's gone. I figured though, I looked it up online and I found that, at least online, it told me that I could take the pills, the medical abortion, up until 10 weeks. And so I called the nearest abortion clinic. I asked them if I could come in and get the pills for the medical abortion. And the lady told me that at that clinic, they didn't do it past 7 weeks, and I was past 7 weeks. I remember hanging up the phone and I totally lost it. I moved back in with my parents. I remember telling them that I was pregnant and they were devastated. All throughout my pregnancy, I looked up ways that I could naturally abort my child. I was never content throughout that whole pregnancy. I remember I would hit my stomach wanting to kill this baby. I had to give up everything that I had known. My friends all left. I had no idea who I was outside of drugs and the reckless lifestyle that I'd been living. It's interesting because I don't think I ever really made the decision to keep the pregnancy. I think I just did it. So the whole pregnancy, I was very disassociated, not present at all. I don't think I knew at all what was even happening to my body. The day I gave birth to my son was the best day of my life. I felt totally out of control of my body, again, but the moment I hold my son just changed everything. You know, they say that all that pain goes away. It does. And not only that pain, but a lot of the pain that came before it too. It took me a while to process what had hit me, but what had hit me was that his life was intrinsically valuable. It didn't take me long to renounce my position as a pro-choice advocate. Having gone through what I went through, I can understand why someone might feel like abortion is the answer, because I felt immensely trapped, and it did feel like the only answer. But what I learned was that the feeling that I had of being trapped, it wasn't going to last forever. And had I had an abortion, I never would have known what it was really like to love, and to love humanity. My son is the most incredible thing that ever happened to me. And he's here because I was sexually assaulted when I was younger. My son is a blessing to everybody he meets. He's the most beautiful child, and he was the catalyst for my marriage and for my 3 other children. I feel like one of the most blessed people in the world to see how God can make the most profound, beautiful things come out of the things that are so hurtful. You know, the things that make you feel like you don't even want to be alive can bring you the things that make you feel like you could go through all the pain in the world and it would all be worth it.